Hey there, how is it going? This is Kyle back with another episode, not just any other episode of Hawk Picks, but we're officially in double digits now, guys. That's right. This is episode number 10, and I got a couple things I'm going to talk about. Of course, I'm going to go through the bigger sales we've had since I talked to you last. But the main topic of the day is going to be something that you may see on YouTube. I haven't really checked Vimeo or anything like that, but I believe most of it's going to be YouTube because that's going to get the biggest audience. And you may even hear them on some podcasts. But what this is this phenomenon of eBay big shots. So these are the people that you're trying to get started or whatever. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you're just interested in the whole eBay reselling thing. And you go on there and this person always seems to find these items for like $2 that end up selling for $400. you know? And to be honest with you, that's kind of what hooked me into this whole thing and got me going. I'm not going to lie about it. But what you quickly realize, and maybe not too quickly, it takes some people more time than others, is that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And that's kind of what I realized, and that's why I made a lot of changes after I got started. And that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about in the background of this episode. It's going to be a little bit different format, and a little bit similar format. So this is the little intro part right here. We'll cut to the music, and I'll come back and talk to you guys a little bit about these eBay big shots. All right. Okay, so eBay big shots. So the first time, and really the reason that I got into reselling in general was I used to watch a guy on YouTube, and I'm not going to say his name, man, because I'm not going to badmouth people. But I used to watch this guy on YouTube, and he does mostly Amazon reselling. So, FBA reselling, so fulfilled by Amazon. So you can go sign up for an FBA account, and there's different formats you can buy. But long story short, this guy, I would see him out at different thrift stores and stuff like that, because that's pretty much all he did. I never saw him doing anything at garage sales or flea markets or anything. It was always thrift stores. And this guy seemingly would come across these gems all the frickin' time. And it was interesting. It did teach me a few things. I'm not going to lie about it. It's not total bust. But the few things that it taught me kind of what to look for and what to focus on. This guy never bought clothes or anything like that. Everything he ever bought was like, board games and sometimes toys and almost always media. So DVDs and Blu-ray, that type of thing. But he would come across these gems all the time and turn around and just make a bundle of money. Sometimes he'd buy books too. But he sold everything through Amazon pretty much. I mean, he did do some eBay stuff too, but Amazon was his big bread and butter situation. So, my wife and I talked about it. I showed her these videos and everything, and that's kind of how I decided to start getting into this, because I have a big familiarity with media. I'm a person who can kind of glance from a distance at the sides of records in a box or DVDs or CDs, and I can tell you what that is. So I can it's just, I don't know why. I've always been fascinated with media, I guess. But I can usually kind of flip through records real quick, and not without even looking at the whole thing, I know what I just flipped past. And the same thing with DVDs and Blu-ray and all that stuff. So I thought it would be a good idea to get into this resale game for that reason, just because I have that ability. Anyway, I started going out and looking around. I know one of the first things I bought a Dolly Parton Christmas movie on Blu-ray, and it sold, but it was still wrapped. I was really fascinated with the fact that I could find so many pieces of media that were still sealed from the factory. And he did that a lot too. So I was all in on this deal, and I totally believed everything he was saying. But let me go over a couple of sales too, and then I'll continue on here. So I think I left you guys, with some pretty big sales. Of course, the Bell. That's the biggest sale the biggest return on investment I think we've ever had. All courtesy of my lovely wife. But let's go through some stinkers that I've sold over the last week or two. The first one would be this Hook, and it's spelled H-U-K. Hook fishing visor. It's basically a visor, not a ball cap. It's a visor. And it's really cool, man. I actually have a Hook hat that's more like a full brim hat that goes all the way around. I got it when we went on our last vacation to the beach. And it's a pretty cool hat because it, protects you during crazy sun. Well, this is a similar material and everything. It's this polyester blend. And it's kind of an odd looking camouflage, but it's a nice looking visor. In the end, we did not make a ton of money off of it. I'm not going to lie about it. I think I had it up, for $22 I ended up selling it for. And let me see what kind of money we made on that thing. It wasn't a ton. I can tell you that right now. But hey, we still came out making our money back and then some. We only paid $1 for it, so that's pretty good. We ended up selling it for $22. By the time everything's said and done with shipping and all that, we walked away with almost $13. So that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And I know the person was really excited to have gotten it. And it's kind of funny because they're in the same state as me. But yeah, they were very excited and had some really good feedback on it, that they got it and they really enjoy it. So long story short on this guy, I slowly started to wonder when I was trying to post, especially board games and toys and stuff, and even puzzles, I would get kickback saying, you can't sell this. You're not authorized to sell this on Amazon. And the only way to kind of clear it so that you could sell it is you had to have an invoice from buying multiples of this brand. So like Parker Brothers, for instance, okay, board games. You'd have to have an invoice from buying a ton of these things, and or you could get permission from the manufacturer to sell it, which it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because I was like, well, then how the hell is this guy selling this shit then? Because, I mean, does he have permission from this giant corporation to sell their products? That's kind of weird. And realistically, if you're reselling, what the hell difference does it make anyway? I don't know. I just couldn't really understand it, but I kind of that was kind of the first thing that happened where I was like, wait a minute here, something's up, right? So I ended up actually talking to them at Amazon and discussing the whole thing with them. And I said, well, look, I don't buy 100 of these at a time. I'm going to like thrift stores or garage sales or flea markets, stuff like that is where I'm picking these up. And could I save my receipts from that and submit those as this proof of purchasing? And they said, well, I mean, you could try that, but it's probably not going to work. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you get the ability to do this? And they said, well, pretty much exactly how it sounds. You have to either have permission from the manufacturer to resell their product, or you have to have an invoice with multiple copies of the same thing that you're reselling. And I was just like, well, what the fuck then? How's this dude doing this, right? So that was a big tip-off that maybe things weren't as they appeared, okay? That was kind of the big eye-opener for me. All right, so, I just kept going. And now I did find some things, and I did sell them for good money. I mean, one thing I can remember that was a real high turnover, return on investment was the second season of Stranger Things. It was a special edition that they only sold at like Target. It came in a VHS case, so like one of those old Snap VHS cases. But it was the whole second season, and it also came with a T-shirt and stuff like that. And so it was pretty cool, and like some collector's cards and jazz like that. It was a neat set, and I found it on Facebook Marketplace, and this lady was only charging $5 for it, and it was still sealed. So, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer to try and get a hold of that thing, and I did, and I ended up selling it for like $80, man. So, pretty crazy, but what an excellent return on investment that was, and then I also sold like a Trivia Pursuit 20th anniversary game that was still sealed. Sold that thing for like almost $70, and I bought it maybe for like 10. So I mean, I did sell a few things on Amazon FBA, and I did make some money, but it just seemed awful strange to me that this person, who seems like a regular Joe, he's been selling for a while, but how the hell did he get permission to sell like Milton Bradley and Parker Brothers games? I just don't. I found it kind of hard to believe, and so I actually went on to his YouTube page, and I straight up just wrote in the comments and asked, hey, how did you get to the point where you were able to sell these name brand products on on Amazon? Because they keep shutting me down and sitting, kicking it back to me. And I said, anybody in here who's watching these videos, does anybody know the answer to this? Fucking crickets. Nobody said a word, man. And I went to 2 or 3 or 4 of his videos and did the same thing. I just kept posting it. No one ever answered shit. And so I was like, you know what, man? I mean, screw this shit. This is a lie, dude. In the meantime, I was selling stuff on eBay, and even on Poshmark, I sold something, and even on Facebook Marketplace, I sold something. And I was like, I mean, no one's going to help me. No one's going to give me any answers or anything. This guy's just basically all his videos are him showing off, what he's saying he's doing. And I don't know. I felt pretty much straight up ripped off. And so I ended up pulling all my shit off of Amazon, having them ship it back to me. It's actually still here. I just need to relist it on eBay and sell it. But it was really frustrating, man. I just totally was disenfranchised by that guy and that stuff. So let me move on to the next thing that sold and how much or how little we made on it. Next thing and this is a low one too. This is a bad one too. I bought this whole lot of DVDs, music DVDs, which usually sell pretty well. There were some Beatles ones in there, Johnny Cash, Mamas and Papas, Eagles, Final Concert, and then a couple Beach Boys ones too. This one's called The Beach Boys, The Lost Concert DVD. Pretty rare, out of print. I mean, you can't, you'll have to go find one. It's not easy to find. I ended up selling that one for $17.99 after taxes and after fees and shipping. It came down to $10.18. And well, I bought that thing. I bought a bunch of them. It ended up costing $1.15. So in the end, walked away with a little $9.03 basically. So not a super great sale, but I am glad it's gone, and I am glad some of those are moving. Those are the early mistakes you make where you're like, oh, this is going to be great, I'm going to sell all these. I got a bunch of VHS I bought from a guy that are really cool, man, but they move super slow, so I wouldn't buy any of those again. But anyway, I got away from that whole thing with Amazon. I was kind of like, screw it, dude. And the money they take out too. It's just, look, it's great because you can ship a whole bunch of stuff to them. They store it for you, And then when an order comes through, they take care of shipping it out and handling all that stuff. You don't have to worry about it. The problem is if it stays there too long, you have to continue to pay for them to store it. And then in addition to that, the amount they take out, I mean, between all of those things, it's just not, I mean, I guess if you buy pallets of shit and you can sell it on there, you could make a lot of money. And I don't know, maybe that's what this guy's doing in the background. He's just pretending to go to thrift stores. I have no idea. Let me just point out, he does go to Goodwill all the time, so something's up. Because we all know Goodwill is outrageous how much they charge for shit nowadays. And it's not just Goodwill. I mean, Salvation Army, Red Rags, a lot of them are really, the prices are out of this world. Savers, too. And I don't mean out of this world in a good way. I mean, they're just astronomical, man. Crazy expensive. Okay, so the other guys you'll see a lot of, and I say mostly guys, there's women too, but you'll see these folks that do these little short pieces, these little reels on, YouTube, and you'll see them even on Facebook or on Instagram or even on TikTok, and same thing. Everything's sunshiny and golden and perfect, and it's just kind of like, what? That's just not how it is. It's kind of it kind of seems like bullshit, long story short, it just doesn't seem very honest and real. It seems kind of like a bunch of crap. But I mean, they're still better, and you can learn a lot from these folks, especially on brands and things like that. Once you start getting into other things, like I said, we originally started out just media, maybe some light electronics. But when we made that move over to clothing, that's when everything really changed for us. And shoes, stuff like that, but mostly men's clothing. Unfortunately, it sells a lot more on eBay. My biggest suspicion is because guys, I know this of myself, and I know this of friends too. We find a brand that we like in the size that we like, the way it fits and all that stuff, and then we'll buy, say it's shorts, we'll buy 5 pairs of those shorts in different colors or whatever, just because we know it's going to fit us and we know we're going to enjoy them, right? And I think for women, it's just a little more complex. And this doesn't go for all men or all women. I'm just talking about, myself and some friends that I have. So when we made that jump, things changed drastically. We had to learn a lot about brands and stuff like that. And actually the business kind of took off a little bit too, and really went in a different direction, which was great. So let's see here. So another item, and this actually just shipped out, so this one's pretty new here. It's one of those VHS I was talking about, guys. It is the All Dogs Go to Heaven VHS. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what I ended up paying for that thing. It wasn't much. I know that. I don't think I've ever paid much for a VHS, but let me see if I can find it here real quick and let you know what I ended up paying for this thing. Yeah, let's try the different search here. All right, nope, not in there. I think we might have bought this one way back in 24. Yeah, it looks like we did. Yeah, I think I bought this with that whole set. So this tape, actually, I broke them all out based upon what I paid for the lot of them, but it was $1.96 is what I paid for it. This thing ended up selling for $14.99. By the time you take out fees and shipping, it comes down to $7.62. So we only ended up making, a little bit over $5.50 on that thing. So not a real good deal. And that's kind of why I'm staying away from VHS. And unless I find some sort of crazy grail, like a sealed copy of Star Wars, the first film, A New Hope, or Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Jaws, or Close Encounter. Unless I find something like that, which is going to be pretty near impossible, I'm not going to be buying any other VHS. That's for sure, because they just don't move. There's a whole thing with people being fascinated with old media. Look, I don't think there's anything wrong with buying media. I think physical media is great, and I have a whole hell of a lot. I've talked about it before. maybe on the other podcast, a Dad Snark podcast. But I've talked about it before. I've got, probably about 400 and some DVD and Blu-ray. And then I have a good 100 or so 4K Blu-rays. And then I have about 650 albums, probably a couple hundred CDs, 100 or so cassettes. Of all of those that I'm going to listen to, the last one's going to be cassettes because they're horrible. They just don't sound good. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's a fascination with them right now and all that stuff, but they're horrible, man. The best quality you can really listen to is obviously a compact disc. That's the highest quality audio you can listen to. Sorry, I love records, but they degrade over time. So do CDs. There's CD rot, but they also can get scratched and dirty and stuff. And I personally love that little popcorn sound with records. I love holding a record cover and liner notes in my hands when I'm listening to the music and that experience, that tactility of it. There's something for me that's appealing. That's why I have so many records. As far as movies go, undoubtedly the highest quality movie that you can watch at home is going to be a 4K Blu-ray. There's zero doubts about it. If you don't believe me, get a 4K Blu-ray player and get 2001: A Space Odyssey or Apocalypse Now, or there's some other ones out there. Take it home and watch it on a 4K TV, and you will be floored. It honestly almost appears as though you can reach through the screen and touch people, like they're real people. And I had seen Apocalypse Now in 2001 before many times, but when I saw them that way, it really was eye-opening. So that's why I'm so big on movies, especially in physical media when it comes to 4K Blu-ray. But VHS, it's not good looking, man. I mean, I grew up with it. We went to the video store, rented movies every weekend, and I had a buddy. I'd go to his house on Friday night, and we'd stay up all night watching movies, and then we'd go back to the video store Saturday morning, and then we'd stay at my house Saturday night, This is when we were in junior high or so. And, we just loved it. But if we would have had 4K Blu-rays, that's what we would have been renting. We wouldn't have been renting VHS because it looks pitiful next to a 4K Blu-ray. It looks pitiful next to an HD DVD. Or, I'm sorry. It looks pitiful next to a DVD. It looks pitiful next to YouTube on your phone. I'm going to be honest with you. It just doesn't look good. The lines of resolution are just not there. It's not a clear, crisp picture. But at the same time, people have a nostalgia for VHS. And so I understand that. And that's obviously what it's all about. And that's fine. No problem. Whatever. So I'll sell it to them. I'm not going to be buying them to enjoy myself. And I fear that I will have a tough time selling the remainder of the VHS that I have. I don't have a ton of them, but I have some. So really the only reason to buy anything lower than Blu-ray for me when it comes to reselling is when things are out of print in future formats. So you can find some VHS that have not been even put out on DVD. Well, that VHS is going to be worth money. Same thing with DVD. You can find DVDs that have not been put out on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray. That DVD is going to be worth some money. So you just kind of got to think along those lines when you're talking about that sort of thing. All right, so what else sold here? That I'm going to go into the good things now, the good sales, okay, where we made some pretty good profit. Not a ton of sales, I'll be honest with you, over the last couple of weeks. So I'm just going to go into some that we ended up doing pretty good on, in spite of themselves. Let's see. I'm just going to do top 3 because it's going to take forever to try and figure out. Yeah. I'm just going to do top 3. Yeah. All right. So, a really, really good one that we ended up walking away with some serious bread from. It's probably going to be bread, by the way, kids. That's what we used to call money back in the old man days. Where we made a really good profit. let's see. I'm probably going to go with these Wrangler Rock 47 relaxed boot jeans, these men's jeans. I want to say we got these for pretty cheap. Let me see here if I can find those suckers. Yeah. We ended up paying $5 for these jeans, okay? These jeans, they sat around a while. I mean, we've had them for, gosh, yeah. We bought these in February, so this has been over a half year ago. But it's starting to get a little chilly, and people are going to get back into wearing jeans and stuff like that. So we ended up selling these for $37.99. By the time you take out fees and shipping, we walked away with $22.90. We only paid $5 for these jeans, so not too bad there. You know, we made somewhere around $15 or so, $16. So, not the greatest profit, but a profit nonetheless, and not too shabby. So, when it comes to these eBay big shots, these reselling big shots that you see on YouTube, I mean, what to do, right? Well, there are some very good people out there, the true ballers when it comes to reselling, people that I've learned a ton from and have helped steer me in the right direction as far as what it is that I'm willing to put money out there for and making profits on. And really, when I think of these folks, I haven't been misled by any of them. And what you'll see about these people is they're not the, hey, look at this, I'm doing so great, everything I do is fantastic. These people will actually talk about, hey, yeah, I mean, you're going to make mistakes, and hey, you know, I'm learning as I go, and early on I used to buy things that didn't sell for a lot, but hey, it's still selling, you know, or I lost money on that. And you know, first name that comes to mind for me is going to be Commonwealth Picker Flipper. I'm not sure if you've ever watched him. I believe his name's Kevin, but he is out of Virginia, and he's a really good guy, man. He does a lot. He gets a lot of criticism, but he was a school teacher and just wasn't making the money, you know. He was teaching and then coaching and all these extra things for the school and stuff. And he just wasn't making enough money. So he ended up getting into reselling a little bit, and then finally he ended up leaving his career as a teacher and becoming a full-time reseller. And now he makes good money. He also does a lot of social media stuff. So he has a huge setup on YouTube. He has the Commonwealth Picker, which you'll see him out there finding things, picking things at, you know, garage sales or thrift. I've never really seen him do thrift stores. I see flea markets and garage sales mostly, but he does do thrift stores sometimes. And then he also has the flipper aspect where you see him actually talking about a subject like I am, and then also showing you what he's sold and getting it packed and to ship out and all that stuff. He is awesome. Love watching him. Great guy. Another guy that's really awesome is going to be Resale Mania. I really like him a lot. He is out of Montana. He gets out there every day, man. He does this full time, and he gets out there. He's got his systems. What I like about him is he is in and out of a store, man. He does a lot of thrift stores. I have seen him do some garage sales too, but I've seen him do so much work in thrift stores. It's amazing. And he has a lot of really great thrift stores up there to pick from, man, I got to admit. But he finds some real gems, and he does make some sales that are big shot sales like these other people that I was talking about earlier kind of pretend, or whatever it is they're doing, however they're doing this. But he's very realistic too about, oh yeah, I mean, I've learned in the past, don't do this because of this, you know. So he has his limitations. He has his system set up the way he does it, and I like watching him. And he's a real straight shooter. Justin Resells is another great person. I see him. He actually lives across the state from me in the St. Louis area, and he's really awesome too. Funny thing about him, he has his own software that he helped develop to track your sales and do all that stuff. And I was really, really inclined to go with his software because, you know, I respect the way he does things, and I love watching him, and it seems like a really good system that he's developed. I ended up going with something else, though, which is my reseller Genie, and that's what we use. And Commonwealth Flipper Picker was involved in helping create that. So, no offense, Justin. I mean, I do love your stuff, but yeah, I went the other way. Sorry. But yeah, he's really good. I like watching him, and he talks a lot about the same things, man. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have stuff. He has a lot of good comments and stuff on what's going on with eBay and what these changes they're making and things that are going to benefit you or things that are going to hurt you, things you should be watching out for, that kind of deal. But he is really awesome. I love watching him too. I watch those three people all the time. Okay. Another good group that I watch is Graham and Pops Vintage. They're really cool. I actually had a chance to meet them this year, earlier in the year, because I went to the big conference up in Omaha, and they were really involved in setting that whole event up for that weekend. My wife and I went up there, and we had a great weekend with them. Planes to Profit is what it's called. And it was really awesome to get to meet them and to, see them in action. But they really did a great job setting everything up. It was really awesome. We had a fun weekend. But they're really good at this too, But they also have different thoughts and feelings. And they're also very open and real about what it is they're doing. Not like these big shots that you'll see all the time, okay? So I really like them a lot. Resell to Ride, they are really awesome too. It's a couple women that live in Oklahoma, and I actually got to meet them too. They came to Planes to Profit, and I got a chance to meet them. And they're one of the earlier people that I was watching right around the same time I was watching all that Amazon stuff. But I really like them too. They're very real human beings. They're out there. They're doing this. They've gotten into buying empty storage or abandoned storage lockers. I'm sorry, not empty. Abandoned storage lockers and flipping that stuff. And sometimes that goes good and sometimes it doesn't, They also have a booth or two in a local vintage shop or, thrift shop. And so that's kind of cool too. But they're very real people, man, and they're telling you about what's going good and what's going bad and blah, 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 blah. They're just real people, not trying to dazzle you all the time with how awesome they are, okay? And then the last guy, I mean, there's more people, too, that I can think of. J-Ride Flips, I like him a lot, too. But Flippity Flip, I really like that guy a lot. What I like about him is he's got a set type of things he buys. He buys a lot of pop culture stuff. He's not a big clothes buyer. He doesn't do shoes and stuff like that. He's more stuff that he enjoys. Gaming, action figures, board games, Legos, that kind of stuff. And a lot of times what he does is he'll go to flea markets and find this stuff really cheap. Media also, lots of movies. And he will then take it to a store that he has where he lives, and then you can submit all this stuff, and they will either give you so much money in store credit or they'll give you cash, whatever you want to take. Obviously, if you take store credit, you're going to get more money. And then what he does with that money is he buys things that he knows he's going to sell for a big profit. So an extra step in there, but I got a feeling that he enjoys what he does also. And so it doesn't really matter that it's an extra step. So that's pretty cool. I like watching him and like him watching the things that he's coming up with. All of these people that I'm talking about here, they are all passionate about what they do. And J-Ride Flips too. And there's other guys out there too. I'm just not remembering everybody off the top of my head. But they're all passionate about what they do. And that's why I think I really have adapted them into my life as far as viewing them all the time and kind of keeping up with them on what it is that they're doing, because I'm passionate about this. The biggest aspect of this for myself and my wife is that we love spending time together going and picking and finding things. It's a fun time. We have a blast doing it. We've learned a lot, but it's good time for us to be together, doing something that we have fun doing and that we enjoy. Yeah, it's incredible to sell a bell that my wife bought for $2 to sell it for $325 within a few days. That's awesome. It's not going to happen all the time, and we're just passionate about it because we enjoy spending time together, and we're basically getting paid to spend time together, you know? And that's, boy, I mean, you could be with the one person or the few people that you love to be around all the time and get paid for it. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. so it's pretty it's these folks remind me of that too. I mean, Grams and Pops, they got a great rapport. Same with Resale Rides. They've got this great Resell to Ride. I'm sorry, they got this great rapport with each other, and you know, even Resell Mania, I've seen him with his fiance out a few times and stuff, and you know, they have a good rapport, and there's just a lot of good people. And then there's my buddy that I've met and befriended, Doug Sells. Actually now he's really no longer going by that anymore. It's My Resell Journey, but the big thing that's called Blue City Resell. He's got a website and everything set up, and you know, he's doing a lot of social media stuff. I'm doing more too. I haven't been on camera really yet. It's not because I'm scared to. It's just, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of time and desire to do it. I mean, I do a lot of editing and stuff for a living. So I'm not really looking for more video editing projects outside of what I do to make my main amount of income. But the cool thing about Doug is the same situation, man. He and his girlfriend, she's gotten into it and helps him, and they work together to make this a success, but he is passionate about it as well. And it's just, that's how we are, and I think that's why I tie in so well with these people that I've mentioned in this podcast, okay? And again, I'm not going to mention the people that I'm talking about that I feel like are kind of, you know, FOS, which stands for full of shit. However, I'm not going to say their names, but you know, if you've watched any of this stuff and you've seen this for a while, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And you may even know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to sit here and bash anybody by using their name to do that. All right, next thing that sold that was really made a pretty good profit on. It would have to be, it's so weird. Imagine this. It's a TI 84 Plus Silver Edition calculator, a graphing calculator. And how did I know how to look for that and find that and sell it and that it was going to be worth something? I don't know. All these people that I've been talking about. I believe J-Ride Flips is the one who really showed me a lot about that, more than anybody I know. But yeah, those things sell, man. If you come across a TI 84 or some of these older graphic, anytime you see a graphing calculator, dude, take a good hard look on eBay and see what it's selling for, because probably going to make some money on it. I bought this bastard for $1. I'm going to be the big shot here. I bought it for $1, and it was at a garage sale. One of those big, like, church garage sales where a bunch of families throw all their stuff together in a big room and sell it. And it was a Boy Scout situation where they were working there and helping customers and stuff. But, yeah, bought it for $1 and turned around and sold that sucker for $50, $49.99. So after you take out shipping and fees, we walk away with $37.03. And the profit then is $36.03. So pretty good flip on that one, and very happy with that one, beyond a doubt. And then last but not least would be some shoes, which is interesting because we've got so many shoes that need to sell. But sometimes you'll come across a pair and you're like, man, those are really unique. Those are really different. And that's what this was. We were at a Plato's Closet, which is a consignment shop for clothing, if you've never been to one. And we've had some pretty good luck there. We've found some things that have sold there. Now, I found at that Plato's Closet, I found a pair of Stranger Things Hellfire Club Vans. They're awesome. Still have them. They haven't sold yet. I think I paid too much for them, but that's okay. I think I paid about $18 or $20 for them. Not too much, but you know, they sell for a lot of money. I'd have to go look at what they're listed for, but they're listed for some money. But yeah, I found those and I was like, holy crap, you know, and I showed my wife and everything. We were at the store there. And then she comes over with these freaking Converse high tops, Chuck Taylor high tops. They have peanuts all over them. You know, Charlie Brown peanuts. I mean, they're awesome. Tennis shoes, man. Just killer. And they were like $12. And so we bought both of those pair and maybe another pair or two of shoes that day. But yeah, we ended up selling hers, those Chuck Taylors. We ended up selling those suckers. Let's see here. Let me see what they ended up costing first off, because I got to see what, you know, they had to take out of it and all that jazz. Goodness, man, I can't hardly see these old glasses. I got to get rid of these. So we ended up paying $13.14 for these shoes, okay? We ended up selling these peanuts, Chuck Taylors, and they're pretty new. They're not brand new. We ended up selling them for $79.99, so $80 we sold these shoes for. After you take out fees and all that stuff, didn't have to do a shipping label, because these are the first pair of shoes that I've sold that have an authenticity guarantee. So basically what happens is when you sell these, you print off the label and it goes to a place where they authenticate these shoes. So now the customer has to pay that shipping. It's $15, but the label that prints off for me, I send it into the authenticator. They look them over and everything, authenticate them as, yes, these are legitimately this shoe, which is interesting to me because I thought that would only be a pair of shoes that are $100 or more, but nope, it's not. As a matter of fact, I think those Vans Hellfire Clubs ones might do the same thing. But anyway, they passed authentication. Of course, the customers actually already got them, and they love them. But after the $79.99, we take out some transaction fees, an ad fee. We walked away with $67.03, and then you take what did I say, $13 and $67.03. We take $13.14 off there, so we end up making about $54 off those shoes, which is just nuts, man. I mean, that's the kind of fun stuff in this business that keeps us going. That's what we enjoy about this. So what I would suggest to you guys on these eBay big shots and these reseller big shots that you see all over, YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and wherever, is that there's nothing wrong with learning from these folks. You know, even that person I'm talking about at the beginning still taught me a lot about looking for media and finding the right things. And then I picked up a lot of the other things that I've learned through experience and through watching other people. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is to find your own way, you know, because you can listen to other people and talking about how they do it and how they, you know, they do this and that and whatever. And you can even sit and watch people over time failing on YouTube and stuff. But what you have to do is figure out your own way. You'll have people that are adamant about telling you, oh, you got to cross list, man. You got to have it on Poshmark and Depop and blah, 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 you know. But you don't. You don't have to. You can sell just on eBay. You'll hear people saying, nah, eBay's dead, man. I'm only going to sell it on these auctions, you know, these new auctions. What is it? Whatnot, and then there's Dibdit. And a few other ones out there. Now even eBay has the live auctions. And, you know, I mean, that may be something that I will end up doing eventually with a lot of stuff we have just sitting around and not moving. But you don't have to do that. And if you do it, you can do it your way. You don't have to do it the way that you're watching these other people do it. It doesn't matter how successful they are. They're different people, and they're in different parts of the world or the country, and they do things the way they do it for a reason. And you have to remember, your gut instinct told you to get involved in doing this, in reselling, right? And so if you've had some small successes and stuff, most of that's been off your gut instinct. And so I'm not saying go with your gut 100%. I'm saying be smart about it. But at the same time, there's something within you that's already told you that this is a good idea. So listen to yourself a little bit. And it's easy to get discouraged too, man. You're going to have periods where you don't sell anything for a week or more, you know? And you're going to have times when you're selling things and you're feeling pretty good about it, and then you watch one of these people that I've talked about or other people, and they're selling it 5-10 times what you're selling, right? It just depends on what you're comfortable with and what works for you. And for what I'm doing and what my wife and I are doing right now, this works for us, what we're doing. We're having fun doing it, and we're selling stuff and making some extra scratch, all right? So go with yourself, find your own way. But some of the people that I've mentioned, I highly recommend you checking them out and seeing what they're doing and how it's going for them. And just see if, you know, piecemeal all these things together like Frankenstein's monster and make your own monster and defeat the world with that monster, right? You don't have to do anything any certain way. You have to follow the rules. You do have to be smart. But other than that, sky's the limit. You can do it however you want, man. I've driven pretty damn far a few times to get things, and they've sold like hell, like not at all. And then other times they've sold like crazy. So sometimes it feels like there's no rhyme or reason to it. But go with yourself and go with who you are. Do things the way you do them and you like doing them, and enjoy yourself, man. Because if you're hating it, then why on earth would you stop working a normal corporate job and do this? You got to find things that you enjoy doing, right? That's all the more I got to say about it, guys. I appreciate you guys listening. This is an extra long episode, so I'm sorry a little bit about that one. Sorry, not sorry, I guess. I will be back with you guys in a couple weeks and talking a little bit more about what's going on. We got a lot of good things on the horizon here. And in the meantime, if you just can't get enough of this amazing voice of mine, please listen to the Dad Snark podcast. That'll be coming out next week. There'll be a new episode. Go back and listen to some old episodes right now, actually. I'll put a link in the notes to that show. But yeah, get on YouTube, do some investigating, learn and watch and move forward, man. Don't move back. Try not to get discouraged. You're going to want to, but don't do it. Don't do it. All right, you guys. Take it easy, and I will catch you in a couple weeks. Thanks a lot.